We're recording.
Good evening. I'm David Smith, and this is Week in Review. This week we'll be discussing the discovery of water on one of the moons of Jupiter, the explosion at the Iranian missile base, and the recommendation of certain experts that we now put lithium into the nation's water supply. We'll also be discussing the question of whether or not Israel is abandoning the peace process and the issue of congressional graft and insider trading. Good evening again. I'd like to remind everyone that you can contact us at Twitter. We have a hashtag WIRTV, and our email address is david@weekinreview.tv. If you're so inclined, please email your questions to us or contact us on Twitter, and we'll be happy to respond to any questions or issues that you may wish to discuss. I'd like to begin this evening with a couple of news items. First one is that NASA has announced that there is warm water beneath the ice covering the surface of the moon Europa, which of course is one of the 4 major moons of the planet Jupiter. Another reason why we ought to be gearing up to get back into space, get up there to Europa and find out what's there. What do you gentlemen think of this? This is quite a bit of news.
Oh yeah, I think this is great, but we got to get up there. Somebody's got to start restarting our space program.
Well, I know there's a good reason now. There may be, it's only, I understand, about 3 kilometers beneath the ice. And this is warm water, and they suspect that there may be life forms in that water.
Well, this
Yeah,
would give
it
us
could be life, and
this would give us a second gas station in space. We can stop off at the moon for some materials and then launch over to Europa for the remaining materials we need to go interstellar.
Well, we could withdraw water, H2O. 2
Oh,
parts
yeah,
hydrogen,
this
1
would
part
be our-
oxygen. Fuel for space exploration.
I think we should have been terraforming Mars years ago. Yeah, we should have had a base on the moon by now. Yeah, this is just another stepping stone to getting out of the solar system.
Now, this is exciting news, I think. If everyone can see our graph, this little, I'm pointing to my computer here, this little black dot right here, that's Europa. It's about the size of the Earth, and that's its comparison to Jupiter as it's crossing the face of Jupiter. But we, with hydrogen there, we would have a fuel source for continued exploration of the rest of the solar system if we established a base on Europa. And of course, we would have water, which is one of our essential needs as a species. And it would be very interesting to find out what warm water life forms might exist underneath that ice. So I think that's an important discovery. And hopefully it will get us motivated to get out there into space and start doing some serious exploration of the solar system.
Yeah, it's time to get ourselves off this planet.
Second news item I'd like to discuss today, there was an explosion at an Iranian missile base about 30 miles east of Tehran. The explosion, according to reports, destroyed an area of 20 square miles. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think that a bunch of missiles, no matter how many they had stored there, if something happened to them to cause them to explode, would devastate a 20-mile square area unless and it's suspected that they may have been attempting to load a nuclear warhead onto one of those missiles, and something went terribly wrong.
That sounds right to me, too.
And apparently their expert in missile technology, a brigadier general in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, was killed. So they've lost someone rather important to their nuclear missile program. But it's kind of questionable whether it was just their accident or was there some sabotage by Israel or the United States, or a combination of both, that was at work here and set the program back a little ways. What do you gentlemen think about this? This could be a setback for Iran, but it could also be a reason for them to retaliate as well.
Well, if they
I'm sure.
if they think there's some sort of if they think there's some sort of foul play going on, either directly or through hacking, like with the nuclear power plants, or with the power generation plants and the hydro worm. If they think something similar is going on here, of course, with 20 square miles devastated, it's not like they have much of a computer trace to follow back. It's certainly an opportunity for them to blame the U.S.
Oh yeah, well they're not gonna blame themselves anyway. Yeah, they're not going to admit they screwed up. They're going to say it was Israel or the United States anyway, even if it was all their fault.
Do the two of you remember about 2 years ago, they had another one of these enormous explosions that decimated a stockpile of their missiles? It was in 2009. This seems to be happening to Iran. You know, if they're this inept and incompetent with their missiles and can't manage or handle them properly, I don't know what we're all upset about. Them.
Well, I think that's the fear, is that these incompetent countries are going to have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
They might set them off inadvertently, you know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's a story that I found rather interesting, just as the IAEA was convinced that they had were just very near to being able to confect, I think, 6 nuclear weapons, 6 nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
And so, and then this explosion where all their delivery vehicles were destroyed. So that was an interesting. Now they may, it's speculated, also have nuclear warheads given to them by North Korea or China. So, but they just don't seem to have a method of delivering them at this point. You know, they keep blowing up their missiles.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to be Jordan, would you?
Yeah, no.
You know, there's going to be missiles going over there both ways if anything gets hot.
Well, the third news item, experts, and I again put that in quotes, experts, have recommended that we add lithium to the nation's water supply in order to help calm the populace, reduce depression, anxiety. This I find unbelievable.
Well, this one just really bugs me.
This is just insane.
Yeah, this sounds like the prologue to a Return of the Living Dead movie.
Yeah, it's like, what? Do they actually think? Well, I'm glad it's out. I even posted it to my Facebook page. I thought, this needs to be broadcast. This is crazy.
The zombification is coming.
I guess the 1% are really terrified of what the 99% might do now that the country's waking up and realizing what's been going on.
And I think that 1% is the elected officials, yeah.
And of course, if all the cities, began to use that recommendation, and they wound up putting lithium in the water, of course, the 1% would make a fortune in providing that service. They would be the ones who would mine the lithium and, of course, distribute it to the cities, pharmaceutical company. So it's another, the 1% wins both ways. They get the money, and they have a docile population. So everyone.
This is just so insane. Yeah, it sounds like it comes out of a bad horror movie.
Yes, I guess 1984. I remember reading it in high school, way back before 1984, and we thought that was all crazy, and now it's like, well, they just seem to be following it like a script. We're going to drug the population.
Wild, yeah.
It's just. It's like
1984 sounds reasonable, yeah.
At this point, these people, but that's crazy. Anyway, everyone should check that out, and make sure you contact your representatives at all levels, local, state, and federal, and tell them no lithium in the water.
No zombies.
No zombies. That's why I thought it was kind of strange when I saw a book, an actual handbook on how to conduct warfare against zombies, how to, defend yourself against a zombie attack, and now it looks like there might actually be one.
No, that book might be prophetic, yeah.
So maybe I should pick up that book the next time I'm at Barnes & Noble. Well, why don't we move on to our two topics today? I thought we would discuss the issue of whether or not Israel is abandoning the peace process. I've kind of suspected from their behavior, especially after the visit of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel to President Barack Obama, where he made it very clear in a televised interview with the president in the White House that there was no negotiation on Israel, and there would be no negotiation on the question of the right of return of Palestinians. There just wasn't going to be any. And it seemed to me that would pretty much shut down any further negotiations between Israel and the Palestinian Authority, and would just make it impossible for the Oslo Accords to go forward, and it would make it impossible for the two sides to continue any form of negotiation, although there hasn't been any for, 4 years now?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the two-state solution died.
Yes. Well, the other day, it's reported that King Abdullah of Jordan made the statement that he was aware of what was going on in the Middle East, that each of these regimes was being overthrown deliberately. The revolutions in their countries are not spontaneous uprisings. They're intentional acts that are being fomented, and they're after him next. He's the last one left standing after Assad goes in Syria.
Yeah.
And then they're going to come after him because they're going to have to move the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank of Israel over to Jordan on the east bank of the Jordan River.
That sounds like a likely scenario to me. Yeah, I'm sure there's some big money somewhere funding these, some George Soros, somebody, yeah. Well, the U.S. State Department has been passing out cell phones and whatever, tablets to get on Facebook and on the internet to organize these things. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen.
I don't know. Can we bring up the map of the Middle East, Daniel? We have a map of the Middle East, so that sometimes I've found when we talk about these things, most people don't know where these countries are actually located. And if you look at the map, thank you for enlarging that, you can see what's happening there. You see Yemen down in the south of the Arabian Peninsula there is unstable. There's a revolution going on there. There's a revolution going on the eastern coast of Saudi Arabia. Over there, you can see Bahrain is a small island up there. They're having revolutionary activity going on there. You can see Egypt, Libya, and this over here to the left of Libya is Algeria, where it all started a little while ago, several months ago. Algeria now is an Islamic republic. Libya is becoming one, because the Muslim Brotherhood is over there.
Yeah.
And they're taking the power. And Egypt, of course, the Muslim Brotherhood is going to win the elections there. And if the military doesn't wind up cracking down on the renewed protests that are going on there.
Yeah, they might wipe out the last of the Coptic Church, too.
Yeah, they're going to drive out the last Christians. If you'll look up to the, or not look up, but to the east of Iran is Afghanistan, where we are. To the west is Iraq, where we are. And we're also in Pakistan now. So we pretty much have Iran surrounded, and they're feeling obviously threatened and endangered. It looks like World War III could very easily break out because of the geopolitical situation in this region of the world. And of course, you have Greece becoming unstable financially, which threatens Turkey.
Yeah, it sounds like the run-up to World War I, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. If you look at it, it very much. It does. And of course, you were mentioning about the Coptic Church being wiped out in Egypt. Well, the Turks tried to wipe out the Assyrians and Armenians, all the Christians in their lands there, and the Greeks in Smyrna. It's these types of wars are very dangerous because it gives nationalist governments the opportunity to rid themselves of other populations that they don't particularly want to have in their country.
Oh, yeah, and the wars are more dangerous now just because the lethality of the weapons has increased a lot since World War I or World War II.
And it's been, if everyone look at the map, you see Lebanon just there above Israel. That was the only Christian country in the Middle East. And it's now been taken over by radical Muslims, Hezbollah. Most of the Lebanese Christians have left, and they've come to America, or they've gone to Europe.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any Christians left in the Middle East in as little as 5 years. No. 5 years. I'm being generous, yeah. 2 or 3 years.
Well, what used to be, Istanbul was Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire. There are now, in all of Turkey, there are about 5,000 Orthodox Christians left. About 5,000, and that used to be the...
used to be hundreds of thousands, yeah.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and now it's... so it seems to be...
That was one of the bulwarks of Christianity, yeah.
But this seems to be the, I think Israel's just decided they can't depend upon the United States to be consistent as an honest broker, because today it's been reported that the Palestinian Authority has said that it will stop its efforts to gain statehood recognition from the United Nations, at least through until January, if the United States and Israel would release the money that it's been holding that is owed to the Palestinians. And Barack Obama apparently indicated that he was amenable to that. Of course, Israel is not. But so we don't seem to have a steady hand on our foreign policy in that region.
No, I've noticed Netanyahu's been meeting with a lot of the leaders of Christian African countries, so he's already looking around for other allies too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which, like you said, if you want to say the lead up to World War I, this looks very suspiciously like it.
Yeah, it's just, and all it's going to take is one little spark. Probably something we're not even, everyone's expecting a nuclear launch from Iran. I don't think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be something smaller. The Egyptians invading the, building up troops in the Sinai, perhaps.
Yeah.
Near the Negev desert border with Israel. In order, and then which would only encourage the Palestinians to riot.
Yeah. No, it could be anything. Like I said, before World War I, if you remember the lead-up, they had a series of crises they averted in the nick of time, and then finally the Archduke got assassinated, and there was no more averted crises. And that's what we're doing now. We've already averted a series of crises, and these missiles being launched into Israel as we're sitting here speaking now. Yeah, so it's an ongoing crisis. It's just a matter of when somebody cracks.
Well, we're supposed to be pulling out of Iraq, supposedly, by the end of the year. Of course, the president's been asked to send troops down to Nigeria. Kenya.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Kenya's having problems with insurgents there, and they need some help. So the AFRICOM, the African Command, is being built up. Of course, we're trying to counter the Chinese insurgents into Africa. They're developing a presence down there, looking for oil.
This is all happening while we're broke.
Yes, we have no money, so
we have no money. Yeah. Well, our main enemy in the world is also our main creditor.
Well, that might actually, unfortunately, I believe in our troops, I support our troops, but the tactics they use to enlist people, Americans have no money, well, that's a great excuse to sign up for the military, because they'll give you bonuses for going to college and all that. Well, by the way, before you go to college, we're going to send you off to war.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I hope the kids get all their benefits, because I just doubt there's going to be any money for anything pretty soon.
Well, there's a whole issue there. They pay you $1,700 a month and promise you these benefits, and when you get back here, they've raided your insurance and don't pay it. They've, I don't know about the education grants, how those are going. But the VA hospital doesn't provide the proper care because there's no money.
No, there's just no money, or there'll be plenty of money. It'll just all be worthless, which is the more likely scenario.
Well, certainly, if the whole Middle East goes up, if it's small brush fire wars all over the place where we're required to provide a lot of troops. That may increase the number of people willing to sign up, but I don't know if there's nuclear war over there, even a limited exchange. You know.
Well, yeah, at least all these wars have kept a lot of people employed.
Yes.
I'm sure that's why Obama wants to send troops anywhere he can, because if all those people come home and they discharge them, yeah, the unemployment number's going to go through the roof.
Well, he just told
Not that it isn't already.
the Australian Parliament, the United States of America is in the South Pacific again, we're here to stay. So I guess we're doing military buildups and activities in Southeast Asia now again. You know, so we can agitate and irritate the Chinese. You know. So
Obama was supposed to be the peace president, huh?
well, I think he ought to be forced. The Nobel Peace Prize Committee ought to ask for the prize back. You know, all he's done is inflame, and extend the wars that the United States has been involved in since he was awarded that prize. No.
Yeah, no, he's done nothing to promote peace. Everything he's done has been divisive.
Yes. Well, that just makes sure, that you use the Nobel Peace Prize to try to induce someone.
Yeah. Well, I never had, after Arafat got it, I had lost respect for the Peace Prize anyway, so.
Well,
it's just, what do you want to say? A bunch of leftists give it to each other.
Yeah. I don't know. I understood they gave it to President Obama to encourage him to seek peaceful resolutions to the various problems around the world. Is that correct?
That's what I heard, too, that it was aspirational, but...
So instead of being for an achievement, it's an inducement, sort of a...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously it didn't induce him very much.
I was actually hoping Garry Kasparov would get it for his efforts in Russia, to promote democracy and Republican government, but he seems to be overlooked every year.
Well, supposedly we're supposed to be doing that, but we just seem to be propping up, totalitarian dictatorships and extending our own empire everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
So,
But they don't seem to like to give it to advocates against communist countries. Like I said, it's a very suspicious award.
But this, I think Israel's decided it has to go it alone at this point, which is very dangerous because they're not going to tolerate any sort of attack on their or perceived attack, because I think they would use a preemptive strike if they felt seriously threatened.
Yeah, I expect any day to get up and hear Tehran's been hit.
Yeah. Which would be well, that's something to keep an eye on, because that's a very, very dangerous situation over there. There seems to be... If we have any viewers or listeners in the area who would like to hear from you. Yes, if there is anyone over there who's... Because, of course, the coverage in the media in the United States is almost nil. There almost is no coverage of this issue. You have to get online and go to Debka File or one of the Israeli newspapers online in order to find out what's really going on over there.
Yeah.
Our media just will not report. It's not even that they're being dishonest about what they're reporting. They're just not reporting at all. So there's nothing, they can say they're not being dishonest, they're just not reporting the issue.
Yeah, they're just withholding the truth. They're not lying.
Yeah, they're not lying, they're just not reporting the truth. But, well, why don't we move on to our second point, if there's no more anyone wants to add on the Middle East or the Israeli situation. This, I'd like to encourage everyone who's watching to go to our topics section and watch the 60 minutes presentation on congressional graft and insider trading. This is just really astounding and shows the need we have for a constitutional amendment removing money,
blind trusts aren't so blind.
from the political process, and we need to have a amendment that requires that Congress be subject to all the laws that it passes. Apparently, it exempts itself from all the laws that it passes. However, the executive and judicial branch are required to follow those laws, but the legislative branch is not. Now, for example, the president has to put his stock portfolio into a blind trust when he takes office, and as do all the justices of the Supreme Court and federal judges and so on. Their financial matters are out of their own hands, so there's no danger of insider trading or corruption. However, the Congress is not subject to that law. And there apparently is quite a bit of insider trading going on.
Yeah, and it's all legal right now. It's unethical, like you said, but it's all legal to this point.
Yes, it's certainly legal. It's immoral from everyone's point of view.
It's immoral. It's unethical.
But it certainly is legal, and they are certainly taking advantage of it. There are a few who don't, and there's one congressman there in that piece by 60 Minutes who talks about, it's real difficult to explain why he doesn't when everyone else does, and there's no consequence for it because it's legal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you see everybody else making money, and this is some of the most powerful people in Congress, Nancy Pelosi, John Kerry, there's some Republicans too. I can't think of the name of the guy right off the top of my head, but yeah, I'd be tempted to do it myself.
Well, this is just, this is one of the problems, the corruption. We have to keep coming back to this, and this is just, there's way too much money in the system.
Our corruption is right in our government. It's not just Wall Street. Wall Street flows right into Washington, right into, whatever, Capitol Avenue, whatever it is, the street that Capitol's on.
Yeah, it just flows right up there, right up Pennsylvania Avenue and into the front door.
Yeah, right into Pennsylvania Avenue, the front door, into the front door of the Congress and Senate. Yeah, it just flows right there. It's like the yellow brick road.
We need to, something needs to happen. There is this movement to get a constitutional amendment to remove the corrupting influence of money from our political system, because it's just, it really is out of control. These Congress people are all bought and paid for. And,
yeah, I forget what columnist said maybe they should dress like NASCAR drivers. At least they could show us who they're getting money from.
That's good. That's a good idea. Well, they even showed, when they tried to bring a reform bill to the floor of the House, they showed how no one, except the speaker, the man who was addressing the bill, and maybe one or two other people, were in the chamber.
Yeah.
So this is just...
Well, I remember Rick Perry was talking about cutting their salaries, and just about everybody, Steny Hoyer especially, came out against Perry's plan to make them part-time employees.
Well, we've always argued that, you and I, if you don't show up for, it was the same as, if we didn't show up for school, we got into trouble. You weren't, you were, attendance was taken. If you weren't there, you got into trouble. Attendance should be taken. If you're not at whatever, they have a vote in the morning and a vote in the afternoon. If you're not present, you don't get paid.
They're working hard 3 days a week, 1 hour a day.
Yeah, we need to, and they have,
Well, I guess compared to a UN delegate, that is a lot of work. Yeah.
But but that was during the issue of, for example, the initial public offerings that are available to these. If you did that in the private sector, you'd go to jail.
No,
you would go to
I
jail.
think we all kind of admired Martha Stewart for that, as she did her time and didn't complain about it a lot, and she got out.
Yes. But these Congress people, maybe that's why we didn't hear much from Congress when the Martha Stewart thing was going on, because they didn't want people looking too closely at what was going on Capitol Hill.
No, like I said, she did it, but she didn't bitch about it or complain. She just went in, did her time. She didn't go through endless appeals. She got out, and that was that. But yeah, Congress, of course, is going to fight tooth and nail to protect all their privileges, and since they make the law, there's no one to watch the Congress.
Well, I don't know how much we can do with the constitutional amendment. Maybe we need to sit down with one amendment and take care of all this stuff. No pensions. They get health care at the Naval Hospital while they're in Washington doing their job. Otherwise, at home, they have to pay for their own. There's no retirement benefits at all, no matter how long you serve. This is ridiculous.
No,
if you serve one term in Congress, you get a pension. If you're 2 years in the House, and you have a pension.
No, I don't think the founders meant it for people to stay there till they drop dead, like Byrd and Kennedy did either, and Strom Thurmond and a bunch of others.
Well, we need to do something about this, because it's way out of hand. And it will never get corrected when the people who are supposed to correct it are subject to it. They benefit from it. There's no possible way that we're going to get any reform.
Nope.
So
watchdogs and our press is just so complicit that we're in a bad situation. But that's what we've been calling for people all the time, is you have to take your education in your own hands. You can't trust the press or anybody else. You got to keep looking around at different sources.
People need to begin to educate themselves about this. They are. I just hope it doesn't turn, these protests don't wind up turning violent. We've seen it.
Yeah.
It appears to me that the ones on the East Coast, or at least in New York and City, there are people who are sincere. They're looking for some type of reform. They're not being violent. However, the anarchists in Oakland are an entirely different story. And they seem to be looking to create a situation where they can have a direct confrontation with the police. And so these
protesters have seemed to be looking, a lot of them have been looking for a confrontation with the police, yeah. And suddenly the State Department, the Justice Department turned against them, because all these cities did it the same day at the same time, so it's coordinated from on high.
Well, it seems they're trying to coordinate their activities, the Occupy Wall Street people. The various Occupy movements are trying to coordinate their activities for the same time, and in the same, which is not to be unexpected, but it shouldn't be a surprise that when the government cracks down, it does so all at one time. So we're having which is a problem, because we wind up with a totalitarian police state.
Yeah.
So we've got some serious issues that have to be dealt with here. And I'd say the country's in more trouble than it has been in my whole lifetime. Well,
I've seen 10 presidents now.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought this might happen, but I thought it would happen when I was, in my 60s or 70s. It's happened earlier than I thought it would happen. But,
yeah, ever since 2008, and when the back of our economy got broken, yeah, it just never recovered, and we're not recovering. We're not in a recovery. We've never been in a recovery.
well, no, they won't even publish the honest numbers about unemployment. It's about 20%.
We're just right down a gentle down spiral, but that could become a quick down spiral at any time.
Yeah, because well, I heard an interesting figure. 50% of people who have mortgages are now underwater. 50%,
oh, yeah.
half, are now underwater.
Well, we're on another housing and the student loan, because all these kids getting out of college, there's no jobs for them, so they're not going to be paying off their loans.
I had 3 emails today offering me a student loan to go back to school. We're having student loan crisis, and that's all I'm getting. Get a grant to go become an X-ray technician. Get a grant to study to become a nurse at home.
Well, that's the definition. The working world is very, or the jobs world is very interesting. It's built in such a way that if you can't get a job or can't find a job, go get educated some more so you can find a job. Well, the problem is when they get educated, there's no jobs. So the same answer applies. Well, if you're not getting a job, go back and get more education. Mm-hmm. Nobody is actually telling them what they should be hearing, which is, take your talents, take your skills, and go start a business.
Yeah.
Well, the people who have started the most profitable businesses in this country in the last 50 years, the majority never went to or dropped out of college.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, oh, you're right. Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, Dave Thomas, founder of Cisco. You can just go on and on and on. No, Steve Jobs didn't finish school. He got an honorary degree. He dropped out of school. So he could start his business.
I did want to comment a little bit more on that housing crisis. See, when we first entered into our housing crisis back in 2007, the majority of that problem right there was subprime lending. People were borrowing way too much money for a house they could not at all afford, because they were basically sold a pipe dream. The problem I see going on now is not the subprime or someone buying more than they can afford, because everybody's clamped down on what they'll loan on. The problem now is, people with houses, people that have houses or have bought them in the last several years, they've either lost their job or have lost their primary source of income and never prepared for that eventuality, and their house basically suffers as a result.
Well, it's that, and also the real value of their property was overestimated. It was overvalued, overassessed, and now the real value of the property, well, there's a lot of people took out second mortgages on their homes. They took a loan against the equity in their property.
Well, to pay off
and
their
now
credit cards.
to pay off their credit cards probably. But now, the house is not worth what it was assessed at, and of course they still own. Oh, got ink all over my hand. They still owe that second mortgage, and of course, so it's bad for the people. The subprime crisis has passed, and now the excessive lifestyle crisis is arriving. The credit card and the use of home equity to pay off those credit cards is arriving.
And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are still in business. They should have been shut down 2009.
Oh, did you hear the two people heading Fannie and Freddie got bonuses
Yeah, I heard.
There's a
They got
huge
bonuses for
protest
the-
against that.
Wait a minute. Now I have like 300 shares of stock in each one of those companies. Has my stock price gone back up?
I don't know. But supposedly these two people bailed out, or were sent in there to clear up the mess. And they've done such an excellent job that they're getting a bonus.
Huh.
It's like a $2 million bonus or something. It's ridiculous. These people should not get a single dime of bonus. They should get their salary, and that is all.
These two businesses, they should be either privatized or done away with. I don't understand why they're still existing in the form they existed in. We all know that that's where the crisis traces back to, and no one's done anything about them.
This is, this whole thing just, the graft, again, it goes back to graft and corruption in Congress.
Oh, yeah, Franklin Raines should be in jail. No one went to jail over this.
Barney Frank should be in jail.
Yeah, Chris Dodd, Franklin Raines, they should all be in jail. Paulson.
Yeah, they should all go.
Paulson lied directly to Congress when he said that he was going to use that money to buy up the toxic assets, and they just gave it to the banks.
Well, they finally, we got the results of the $17 trillion. Finally got the audit from the Federal Reserve. $17 trillion, most of it going to bail out foreign banks. And look where that money's gone. We've sent that money over to, English, French, German banks so that they could bail out Greece, Ireland, Spain, Italy, etc. And, of course, that failed.
Yeah, and it's not even, like you said, it's not even a real bailout. We're just buying a little time.
Yes. It's just one of those.
And things are just getting worse and worse. Yeah, Greece should have taken their vote and either accepted it or not. And if they not, they should have been out of the Eurozone.
Well, they're talking about reducing the Eurozone to maybe 10 countries. They brought in way too many countries that simply were financially unstable, and now it's dragging the currency down. So the European Union may wind up being Germany and France, and that maybe the Netherlands. It seems the Benelux countries seem to be all right.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. It's probably Germany, France, and the
Belgium, Luxembourg,
and Belgium and Netherlands. Are going to become like probably one economy or one nation in the distant future.
Yes, but it's and the English, of course, don't want to give up the that
the English have
dying mummy called the pound. They don't want to give that up. So.
Well, England has consistently throughout its history separated itself from whatever's been happening on the continent with good reason.
Well, Margaret Thatcher, for all her faults, was right about this one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was also right about socialism works till you run out of other people's money.
Yep.
And that's what's happened. We've run out of everybody's money.
Well.
We're even running out of printing it. And Bernanke's talking about printing more money. What a joke.
Well, that's the answer to this crisis that they've come up with, is we're going to spend our way out of it. We're going to keep printing money, and we're going to spend our way out of it. Of course, that's going to create a devastating inflation. But eventually, people will start, that's their theory. I don't think that's going to happen. This globalization is just, we keep having to prop up everyone else's economy and try to salvage our own as well. And
the United States, if the United States really goes, if we really fall, there's going to be no globalization. I don't think the Chinese or the Muslim states want. They want globalization, but under their rule.
Well, I saw a report the other day. The Chinese are are concerned that they may have to declare bankruptcy. So something's happening over there as well. You know, that they're not reporting on in the press. So, but
it's interesting. All this has happened after the population has reached the 7 billion mark.
7 billion. Supposedly we're overpopulated, and of
We've
course
been
I
talking about it.
I don't believe that, but I think that's
No, I
much
don't
possible.
know.
But it
I don't
certainly
know.
is. What do they call it? Sustainability. That Agenda 21, the agenda for global governance, and so on.
Yeah.
Which is simply another way for the elites, the 1%, to take control of even more of the Earth's resources
Oh yeah. Well, basically, yeah, we know that most of the troubles in Africa could have been prevented, but they were let go.
Well, the problem, you know what the problem in Africa is? You know, they keep talking about how there are too many people and they're starving, and the reason they're starving is there aren't enough people to farm the land. We instituted that abortion. Every government had to reduce their population through active abortion and contraception programs in order to get IMF funds. You know, and that started back in '73, and for all these right-wingers and conservative Christians who are complaining about abortion in this country, how about the fact that we promote it in other countries where it does incredible amounts of damage, where there aren't enough people to farm the land. And so, of course, the land, you know, the desert encroaches on it because it's not being cultivated. And we have these continuing famines, repeating these cyclical famines.
There's a whole Asian shortage of women because of abortion, that they abort the female babies.
Yeah, that's, you know, they do that in China, and they do that in the Middle East. And in Africa, you know, the male children are more valued than the female children. So we now have this...
worldwide shortage of women. I mean, you're just asking for trouble. Lots of young men that have no marriageable women around. What are they going to do?
Well, those are the people you create giant armies with. So you can give them something to do, and then they can go off and kill each other off and, you know, thin each other out.
These are all potential janissaries or suicide bombers or whatever you like. Yeah.
It's
exactly.
We really, you know, people, we really need to wake up to what's going on. We have been played for a long, long time by a group of people who are getting very wealthy at our expense. You know, and it's our spiritual, our intellectual, our physical, fiscal expense. Every dimension of our existence is being sabotaged and diminished by these people.
Yes, you have got it right. We were all just sort of fat and happy in front of the TV, but the blank has hit the fan. Yeah.
Well, they dumbed us down, and you know, now if everyone can realize, we are going back to the. We're not coming out of the medieval model, which is what the Enlightenment was supposed to do, was to bring us out of this. Maybe you can address this more fully, Eric, since you're. But we're going right back into it. You know, they're eliminating the middle class on all levels, and they're turning us back into debt slaves, into feudal serfdom.
Yeah, into feudal serfdom. We're going to be ruled by a few nobility. And we're not even going to have the rights of the serfs, it looks like.
Yeah, we're going to be...
At least there was an independent church to kind of keep a check on the nobles as much as they could.
But you know, I kind of wondered why this assault on the church was, you know, in the you know, the sex scandals, which I'm not trying to excuse them, but this you know, excessive reporting on it by the media, and the excessive attention focused on it while the elites were running off with the money to the bank and, you know, doing these robo signings on houses that no one could afford and so on. Now the church has no fiscal or moral standing, no foundation.
No.
So it can't step in with any
the moral authority.
Yeah, it's lost its legitimacy both fiscally and morally. So
yeah, so now there's no outside organization to have any check on anything.
So well,
the church has been a moral check on secular governments for all of Western history.
If we don't wake up here fast and take back the government,
we're going to go into another dark age. Yeah, it's going to be a worldwide dark age.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen and people take seriously what's happening and not fall into the paradigm that we're in, the political paradigm of, you know, it's not a two-party system. It's one party with two branches. Because if everyone recognizes, nothing ever changes. The names on the doors and on the stationery change, but that's it. The policy never changes. You know, and the promises that they make to us and that we believe, oh, maybe this time it'll change, it never changes. So we need to throw these people out, and we need to take back our government for ourselves.
I think you've summed up everything nicely, David. Throw them all out. Everyone.
Everyone. Well, let's see what happens next week. I think we've covered everything we need to cover this week. Again, for our viewers, our Twitter hashtag is WIRTV. And our email address is david@weekinreview.tv. Please send us your comments. If you have a particular subject or issue you'd like us to cover or discuss, we'd be happy to do so. Just let us know what it is. And of course, we'd appreciate your comments and your viewpoints. Please visit Eric's blog at
Processidealism, blogspot.com.
Leave your comments and let us know what you're thinking. Also visit Daniel's blog at
danielheath.com. That's HETH. There's no A.
And until next week,
stay well.
Stay well.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes. Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all our viewers. Thank you. I'm David Smith. This is Week in Review. Fiscal responsibility and constitutionally limited government.
Down with capitalism, man.
Which one is closer to 99% of America?